Hey, it's Gary with Today for Tomorrow, and I'm in Jupiter Farms, Florida with my friend Jen Rielitz, and we're in her backyard food forest. We've got a great video for you today because we're going to be covering the top 10 food forest plants that Jen would recommend that you grow here in South Florida. Hey Jen.
Hey Gary.
So let's just start with, what are your top 10 that you actually have in your food forest right now, and then we'll cover why.
Sure. So I really focus on actually the staple crops in the top 10. So my top 10 are Yucca, Pigeon P, Chaya, Papaya, Banana, Moringa, Mulberry. I put Moringa and Taro together. Nopales, prickly pear cactus, Pigeon P, Katuk, and an honorable mention to yams. So
okay, was that 10 or was that more than 10?
that was 11.
Okay,
and
that's fine.
People can find my top 10 on the website. It's
Okay.
foodforestdiy.com.
And let's mention that. So Jen's got her own business. Like me, she loves food forests so much that she just kind of can't stay out of them.
Yep,
And it led to,
the business.
Yeah.
So I just love helping people build their food forests. So if you put in your email address, you get the free download, which is my top 10. It includes propagation method, time of planting, and a description of each plant. It's a great way to help people get started.
awesome. So if you're in the South Florida area and you're thinking about doing a food forest, give Jen a call. She's just a great person. And like me, she's just kind of a self-taught, get out there, roll up your sleeves, get in the dirt, and just see what works. And I think that's the best way to learn. So Jen, you've got your top 10.
Yep.
I know that they're scattered throughout this whole food forest here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out there, go plant by plant,
Sure.
and you can tell us more about them.
Totally. We've got one or two that are nearby.
All right, well, let's start with those.
Sure. So right here we've got Chaya. Chaya is incredible. It has like one serving of a cooked green of Chaya has as much protein as an egg. It has twice the iron of spinach that you buy in the grocery store. It's loaded with vitamin A and vitamin C. Hunger researchers think that Chaya could help solve global hunger because of the protein content in the leaves. This is far better for you than anything you could buy in the grocery store, and it grows so easily in South Florida. You literally can propagate it from a cutting, which means you just snap off a piece, stick it in some dirt, and you've got more. It's also a pollinator. It sends up flowers. Bees and butterflies love it. Gary, actually right next to you is some yucca, but we'll show you a little shot of that later.
We'll get on that later.
I am pulling 10, 15 pounds per plant. So that's a lot of starchy tubers. And my kids love yucca fries, yucca con mojo with garlic aioli.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Exactly. And then the other really worthwhile, both green and berry, is mulberry. So mulberry is popping off berries like all through the spring and summer, but also the tips, the young kind of green leaves of mulberry are amazing in stir fries and soups. There's actually a variety that's called edible leaf mulberry because it's primarily a green.
So that's interesting. I remember you mentioning that to me before. You don't need to cook it, right? Or you do?
I would cook it.
Cook it.
I
Okay.
think you could eat it raw, but I prefer it cooked.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, mulberry,
Yep.
chaya,
Yeah.
which you do have to cook,
Yes.
and then, well, close by here, yucca, but we'll get on that in a minute.
Sure.
So yeah, let's get out there and let's look at some others.
All right.
So yucca is definitely a top 10 staple crop because of the root production. It is known worldwide as either cassava or yucca. Mine are producing about 10 to 15 pounds of tubers per plant. They're actually a low glycemic potato. So on the glycemic index, your white potato has a glycemic index of 80 to 90 depending on preparation. Sweet potato is 70. Yucca is 46. So that means that a lot of folks who are on low glycemic diets who can't eat white potatoes, they can eat yucca. Yucca grows like a weed here, and it's a highly recommended staple crop for every food forest. Nopales, prickly pear cactus, is a green bell pepper substitute in cooking. It's used commonly in Mexico and around the world. It is a perennial vegetable that is drought tolerant, pest tolerant. You could put it in the back part of your yard, totally forget, and it would be pretty big a couple years later. I think it's an incredible vegetable to grow.
Jen, how do you eat it? It's got spikes all over it.
Sure, you just kind of rub off, kind of like you would potato eyes. I take it with a towel, kind of rub off the little spikes, Pop these out like potato eyes, chop it up, put it in your chili, your omelets. Any way you would cook with a bell pepper, you can cook with nopales.
Cool.
So pigeon pea is one of the staple crops in the food forest. It is nitrogen fixing, improving the soil. It makes beans. It's perennial. It grows like a tree and will produce for years. I love to use it as both wind and cold protection. So oftentimes I'll plant it on the perimeter of my food forest around bananas or other plants that need wind and cold protection because it grows really quickly and will just kind of act like a blanket on trees that just need a little extra help. So bananas are an incredible part of the food forest. They grow really quickly. They make an amazing fruit that you can use sweet like a banana from the store or use green like a potato. The leaves are useful as a forage fodder plant for chicken and other livestock. Bananas grow up really quickly and create a happy microclimate. And so long as you feed them with compost and mulch and manure, they'll feed you. They do like a little extra water, so I recommend planting them near hoses or where they have access to gray water. And around the bananas, I plant other plants that also enjoy the moisture and the rich soil. So taro and malanga are excellent plants to plant near banana. The leaves are edible cooked and the tubers are absolutely delicious. 3 times the starch of a white potato. So they taste more like a dumpling than a potato, and they're excellent as a soup thickener. If you talk to anyone who grew up in Cuba and you tell them we're having dinner tonight, would you like yucca or malanga? They're all gonna say malanga.
Interesting side note, I just had dinner last month with a Cuban gentleman and he served malanga.
Of course he did. Moringa is an incredible tree with edible leaves. It's nitrogen fixing, it's a chop and drop. Every part of the plant is edible, especially the leaves and the pods. Per gram of nutrition, moringa has 2 times the protein of yogurt, 4 times the vitamin A of carrots, 3 times the potassium of bananas, 4 times the calcium of milk, and 7 times the vitamin C of oranges. This tree is literally vitamins. It's incredible, and you should have it in your food forest. Papaya is an incredible addition to the food forest. It's a quick producer, often making fruit in the first year. The fruit can be used either ripe, eaten out of hand, frozen in smoothies, or you can use papaya green as a vegetable. My favorite ways to use it are to shred the green vegetable, make a Thai papaya salad with an Asian ginger dressing, or use the Filipino recipe to pickle it. Papaya is phenomenal. Whether a fruit or a vegetable, it grows quickly and you need it in your food forest. Katuk is a phenomenal shrub or bush to include in your food forest, and it can grow in part shade, which is pretty great. Katuk tastes amazing. Of all the greens we can grow, it's one of the best tasting. In Asia, they call it sweet leaf because it tastes a little bit nutty, like a pea or a peanut. You can throw it in your salads, your soups, your stir fries. The nutritional content is outstanding. It's 49% protein, 18% fiber. It has vitamins A, B, C, calcium, and magnesium. So Katuk, you should definitely include in your food forest.
So Jen, thank you so much for taking us through your food forest, sharing it with everyone, sharing your knowledge, sharing your passion. As we're kind of signing off here, just wondering if you had some final words of advice to somebody who is excited now, but doesn't know where to start.
Sure. I do think a great place to start is my top 10 list on the website. You can also find just tons of resources online. And a really important step is connecting with your neighbors. Go on to Facebook, Nextdoor, find people near you who are doing food forest. It's a great place to learn, to get cuttings and seeds, and just share the abundance with the people who live the closest to you.
Super advice. I couldn't have said it better myself. Hey, thanks again, Jen. This is Gary with Today for Tomorrow, reminding you that it's the little things we do in our daily lives today, like plant food forests, that make such a big difference in all of our tomorrows. Thanks for watching.